unlike Nick, I actually wanted to play. I really did the training program not even thinking that I really wanted to teach. I thought that I'd taken some time off from golf, and I thought that it'd be a really great way to get back in, exposure to playing again, and sort of improve that way, and then move down the path of playing. And then once I started the pathway program, I fell in love with teaching. And so whilst I played in, all the events and stuff and different programs, and I still do play in that respect, I just get so much joy out of the coaching. So for me, that was like a surprise, because sort of as Nick was saying, I didn't actually expect to pivot, and I had that kind of, this is the way I'm going, and yeah, just went, oh wow, this is so much more rewarding than I thought it was. And so then I did the traineeship and did my 3 years, stayed on as assistant professional and created my own coaching business. I was working in the shop and was coaching outside of that, and then it got so big that before I left Eastwood, we were sort of just discussing whether or not how to pivot into actually full-time coaching and leave the shop behind. And so then I took a bit of a detour, had a baby as well. And now I'm just coming back to coaching and about to start at a new facility. So I can't say where yet. But yeah, that's really exciting. Me personally, though, being a female in the traineeship is I knew some of the other girls that were in it, so that was handy. But you are always playing with the guys. And it can get a little bit tricky because they do hit it so much further. So for me, I had to remind myself to stay in my own lane, and whilst I was there to compete, it was also just again, that pivot from playing to actually coaching. For me, it was okay, just get through your playing, because this is now actually what you want to do. So to me, the playing, yep, cool, awesome to make some money, great to get out and play and everything, but that sort of, it wasn't the big thing for me anymore.
Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting takeaway, because I think a lot of people that we see that come through the membership pathway program or any of our programs, they might have an idea about what they have in mind, but then the exposure to all the different areas of the golf industry and the different things, they actually kind of spark passions that they never knew they had. And I think that's a wonderful takeaway, is to be curious in whatever sort of pathway you take, and you never know where those sort of passions might lead you. Matt, to you, what I guess we'll talk about the golf performance program first. Wind the clock back. What was that experience like, being in that environment, and what impact did that have on you?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think the best part about that environment was you're essentially with like-minded people that love the golf industry, love golf in general. It was an area where you could really develop your not only just on-course golfing abilities, you can also kind of get a really good understanding of golf course management, really good understanding about diet, really good understanding about strength and conditioning. So essentially, it really kind of encompassed all these ideas around how to be a high-performance player, how to become someone like Nick over here, and also kind of really build us a good, strong core understanding of how to essentially work in and around golf courses, and how to kind of apply our skills that we would develop out of it, and then assist people, with their own game to golf. That was probably the biggest thing for me in that program.
Yeah, and how did that help? A lot of the people that we see come out of the golf performance program do come into that year 2 of the membership pathway program. How did you feel in terms of your preparation to come into that program after going through?
Yeah, for starts, it gave me a bit more confidence that I could actually play golf. A lot going into that program, I probably realised just how little I knew and how much more I could learn, and how much, even after that year, there was still to learn and keep developing. And I think not only after that year I became a much better golfer, but I became an even better golfer now, just understanding that I can keep learning, that I can keep developing more skills as essentially a baseline from that. So I think going into the traineeship, as it was at the time, I think I was able to get a lot more confidence as to where I kind of sat compared to other golfers. We had players that I was playing with at the time that were also playing, Australian tour events. But I think from what I'd learned in that year, I was actually able to understand that I could still compete with them. I knew I was up to the challenge. That was probably the greatest part that I learned from that.
Yeah. And Mel, you sort of given us a little tease about another exciting job opportunity that might be coming down the pipeline. But as I said, you've sort of worked in traditional golf facilities. You've also sort of worked at other indoor sort of coaching facilities as well. And that has been a really big change that we've noticed from, I guess, broadly from the industry. What has been your take on the golf industry and how that's sort of evolving and changing at the moment in terms of jobs and opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, there is just so much more opportunity. It's not just, you have to be a golf pro in a golf shop. So what Matt's talking about, I was working at Golf Athletics, which is an indoor golf facility in Mitcham. And, we had like the greens, the putting greens, the chipping greens, all the sims and everything. And it was a really awesome space. And now sort of moving into a new facility myself to look at coaching again. One of the things that I'm personally looking at is just making sure as well that the technology that we've got is just actually also part of it. Like, whereas when we were at Eastwood, like we had flight scope, but you paid more for a flight scope lesson and that kind of thing. But I think the industry is like just evolving so much that it's just it should be like a standard thing that's actually offered, or pretty much like if you've actually got that, then it just should be part of it because people are wanting that data as well, But yeah, as far as job opportunities and stuff, there's so many, like I live out in Pakenham, there's a new indoor place that's about to open up. Like I know that they've got like some stuff up in Queensland as well. And there's just so many more opportunities. You don't just have to work behind a pro shop counter, serving sausage rolls all the time.
I think that's something we've certainly noticed from a PGA and seeing not only the types of job opportunities that associates in our programs might take and the facilities that exist, but also the sort of the breadth and scope of jobs that we're seeing members take now, and a lot more members are working in different parts and manufacturers, and they're actually sort of creating their own businesses. It was very, very stagnant probably 20 years ago. You had to work in a golf club and that was the only way you would work in the golf industry. Now we're seeing a lot more jobs popping up and people creating their own jobs and that sort of stuff. Matt, with that, in your experience, a little bit more golf operations and managing sort of that side of the facility, you've had couple of different roles. How was your experiences in the programs that you've done? How have they helped you in the roles that you're doing now?
So I probably would say one part of it, and I would say probably the best part of it, was being essentially what I was. It was to some degree an apprenticeship, so I had an indentured pro that I worked very closely with. He's probably 30 years older than me, Tony Craswell. A lot of the knowledge that he had was part of me, not only just from just a golf operation standpoint, but how to manage people, how to deal with people, how to engage with people. That was probably something that I had a lot to learn about as well. I think that really assisted me as I moved into a role of literally managing people. From 12 months ago, I'd never managed a person in my entire life, to then managing 6 staff members, to now managing 7, 8 staff members at the moment, and had no experience of that, but just the information that he was able to assist with me was probably a massive component of that. Something that I think goes a really, really long way with what PGA offer. Aside from that, from what units were actually worked on, game development, management, small business, a lot of those things really assisted me to actually understand what I was looking for from a business component, how to actually improve on what we were doing, how to find areas where we could do better, what we were doing really well at, and how to kind of take advantage of that. It's probably something that was really, really helpful. So there's a few of those parts, and what Mel was touching on, there's a lot of different things that encompass the program, and that's probably a little bit more eye-opening as you get into more career opportunities and where you can kind of go with that. And I think that's what I'm kind of being able to lean on now as to not only does it have to just be you do golf this way, you can do golf in so many different ways. I think that's kind of what's really helped for me.
Yeah, it's so great to hear you talk about that. And it's certainly something that the PGA and Golf Australia are very, very aware of and promoting, that all golf is golf, and that we're starting to see a real growth in different aspects of engaging with the sport, which is then providing more opportunities for people to work in those roles. You've also had an associate underneath you, and how are you finding that? What, I guess, advice would you give to those in terms of those who are looking to embark in these sort of programs?
Yeah, for sure. So Tom Cottogio, he's our associate. He's great. People love him. It's a really useful part, especially with, again, managing different people. You start to see what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, where you can kind of really, see them flourish and take them to the full advantage. A lot of things that we started to see is just how personable he is. Really focusing that he engages with people. He started to really enjoy the clinics and programs and coaching, and we started to really see just how valuable he is as a person to just bring people in, especially new golfers. There's a lot of trepidation to kind of come into the golf industry and start golf. If you've got people that are really charismatic, really personable, they create a whole different kind of aspect to what you offer. And look, what Tom's been able to provide to myself and the company Greenspace, it's really, really valuable. He's been a massive driver. I'm not sure if a lot of you know what RGC is, Random Golf Club. He's been a massive driver on bringing that back to Royal Park, and actually getting a different community back into golf, which is something really exciting. We're really proud to kind of have at Greenspace at Royal Park at Freeway. It's really, really, really wonderful to have people like Tom work for us.
Awesome. Mel, what was you think about over your time in the program? What was the best part or the highlight or the things that you enjoyed most?
Whilst obviously the playing wasn't like a massive aspect for me, I did love going away, with the biggest tournaments like Rich River and Tokemore and everything. Going away and actually doing your 4-day tournaments was good fun, because it is more than 4 days as well. You go up, your practice rounds and all that stuff as well. You're away for pretty much the whole week, and I guess whilst the playing side was really cool, that I guess showed more of that tour aspect, of the 4 rounds and all that kind of stuff. So that was one of the things that I definitely enjoyed. And then, just getting in and coaching and learning from other people too. So back when I did it, we had mentors. I know you guys do it a little bit differently now, but that was really cool to be able to go to different courses and spend time with other golf pros, whether or not that was in the teaching space or the management space and that kind of thing. And that was really, really good. Yeah.
Matt, similar thoughts, or anything particular that you remember that you take away from your time in those development programs?
The golf events were pretty enjoyable. It was always a lot of fun when you get to play, a place like Royal Melbourne or Metropolitan. You don't always get to play courses like that. So any opportunity you get there was definitely a privilege, and it was something I certainly appreciate the fact that the PGA were able to have such strong relationships with the people that are actually at the courses like that. But also, I guess, probably the most enjoyable fact when I started to kind of develop a bit more of an understanding of how valuable people were inside the industry, within PGA, inside of other golf courses, just pretty much anywhere, just asking for advice, asking for help. That was probably the big kind of switch for me, was getting a better understanding of just how willing people were to help. That was probably a big kind of exciting part.
That networking,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's cool to be building your network out like that. And
yeah, exactly that.
No, beautiful. Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much, Mel. We've been very lucky and fortunate to sort of hear from you and learn from you a little bit more.